It's wonderful to be with you this morning, this afternoon. As was stated, this is my first time in Bilston. I was converted in Walsall. That was my home church from the year 2000 when I got baptised. My wife got baptised there in 2005. And my two children got baptised there in 2014. I've been to all the other churches in the Midlands. I've never been to Bilston. So it's wonderful to be with you this morning, or today. Thank you for the invite. Let's move that. Otherwise I'll be eating it in a minute. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you again for the gift of the Sabbath. Father, please speak to us now. We've all come to worship you and to hear a message from you. And so I pray, Lord, that something from this message will touch each of us in a different way. And that, Lord, our hearts will be touched, blessed, challenged. But ultimately, Lord, that this message may help us to be saved for your kingdom. For I ask, pray in Jesus' name. Amen. In a previous life, before I became a Christian, I used to teach martial arts. I used to own a martial arts centre in Walsall. And it started off as a martial arts centre, but then it turned into a pub club, if you know what I mean. So we weren't just teaching martial arts, we were also serving alcohol and other things like that. And one particular week, a friend of mine, his friend was getting married. On the Monday he came to me, and his friend was getting married on the Saturday, on the Sabbath. And he asked if they could use the upstairs of our building for the stag night. Now most men, or the adults here, you understand what I'm saying by a stag night, where men get together and celebrate the wedding. But in that culture, it's not probably the stag nights that we have as Christians, as you can imagine. And so he asked me on the Monday if we could use the upstairs for his stag night, his brother's stag night. And I said no. But I owned the club with somebody else, there was two of us, we were partners. And he was like, no, let's do it, because we'll make a lot of money. I wasn't a Christian then. And I said, no, this doesn't feel right, no, we shouldn't do it. And he was like, no, come on, let's do it, we're going to make a lot of money. I said, no, it doesn't feel right. Because it was still a family club. And although it was a pub and a club and we were serving alcohol and we used to have discos and parties and all sorts of nonsense going on, I still realised it wasn't the right thing to do. But he kept influencing me through the week. And then my friend found me on the tube, he said, come on, please, we can't find anywhere else, please, can we use your upstairs? I went, no, you can't use it. And my friend's like, no, come on, let's do it. I said, no, we can't do it. Please, let's do it. I said, no. Come the Wednesday, my friend called me again and he was desperate, they couldn't find anywhere. And my friend said to me, come on, let's do it. We're going to make a lot of money out of this. A lot of men coming to the club, they will spend a lot of money behind the bar, we'll make lots and lots of money. And I said, no, we're going to do it. Come on, let's do it. He said, please, let's do it. I went, okay, then we'll do it. And so we agreed to it. So on the Thursday night, they had the stag do. So I'm behind the bar, I'm the barman as well as the martial arts instructor. And serving these men to the beers and to the drinks, and they're going upstairs and taking the drinks. And then during the night time, I went halfway through the night, I went upstairs to see how things were going on, collect some glasses, because we were short of glasses. And I could see that the man who was getting married on the Saturday was really drunk. Very, very inebriated. And everybody else in the room was as well. And so I come back down the stairs with all these empty glasses. And I got to the bottom of the stairs, I looked up, and his brother, the man who was getting married, was coming down, he was halfway down the stairs by now, and he had a friend, two of his friends, one on either side of him, and they were like holding him as they were coming down the stairs because he was so drunk. And as I walked through the door back into the bar area, I heard an almighty boom, a thud. Whoosh. I thought, wow, what was that? So I run back to where I heard the noise, and they'd let go of him. And they let go of him because he was so inebriated, he had no reflexes, and he just went whoosh. And he hit his head on the fire extinguisher. Now there's a big commotion. Oh, what do we do now? It was late into the night. We didn't want the police coming, ambulances. It's going to bring a lot of attention to our place. And so, of course, there was a nurse there. One of our friends was a nurse. She says, Ian, you need to get into hospital. There's something wrong with him. I know he's drunk, but he's hit his head, there's no reflex, nothing at all. There's something wrong with him, you need to get to hospital quick. Of course, somebody's saying, don't phone the ambulance. So we're in a little bit of a dilemma. In the end, they threw him in the car, took him to hospital, Walsall Manor. They put him on a life support machine. The next day, they turned the machine off because he was dead. He was dead. He was getting married the next day. There was a big commotion at hospital, all the men are fighting and arguing about who dropped him, blah blah blah. Dead. I was so influenced by this other person. I was so influenced. I knew in my heart it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. I wasn't a Christian then, but I knew the Spirit was saying to me, don't do it, it's wrong. Don't do it. But I was so influenced by this. Satan speaking into my ear. Come on, do it, you'll make a lot of money, do it. And so for the days and weeks and months after, you've got to live with yourself. That you were part of somebody's death. Then we have the police investigation, the fire brigade comes to see whether we meet the health and safety needs and all these things, and all that took place. It was put down to accidental death. But in my heart, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't, and I was part of that death. The reason I tell you this story, folks, is because we influence people in our lives in various ways. Emotionally, spiritually and physically. And I was influenced that day to do something I shouldn't have done. Our story today from the Bible comes from the book of Genesis. Please turn with me to the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis. The beginning chapter 11. The book of Genesis chapter 11. And let's see from God's word how other people have been influenced and what we can learn from influence. Genesis chapter 11 verse 31. Genesis 11 and verse 31. The Bible says, and Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran and dwelt there. Now from that particular verse it sounds as though the call might have come to his father Terah, or Terah. But when you read in Patriarchs and Prophets 1:27, Ellen White says the call from heaven first came to Abraham, while he dwelt in Ur of the Chaldeans. And in obedience to it, he removed to Haran. So God spoke to Abraham. And he influenced his father, part of his family, to move. So God's going to take them on a journey. And so they settle in Haran. And this is where his father dies. When you go to chapter 12 and verse 1-3. And now the Lord has said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. And you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. And I will curse him who curses you. And in all the families, and in you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And so now God tells Abraham to leave Haran and his relatives and father's family and go to a land that I will show you. And so he's saying, Abraham, you need to leave the family. Anybody ever been told to leave your family before? It seems a little bit drastic, doesn't it? But God in his wisdom knew something that he didn't know. And he's asking Abraham, he's telling him, he's commanding him to leave his family and to move on. When I first came into the ministry 9 years ago, when the conference employed me as a global mission pioneer, I lived in Walsall, and they asked me to move to Carlisle, to work in Carlisle, which is the last English town before Scotland. Long way away. And it was like, well, I had to leave my wife and my 2 kids in Walsall because they were both at school doing exams, and I couldn't uproot and take them with me. And so it was like, Lord, I don't want to go to Carlisle, it's far away, I have to leave my family. But thinking back now, and at the time I didn't really understand why God was taking me to Carlisle to get away from my family. It wasn't just my wife and children, it was from my immediate family. Because I come from a big family. I've got 5 brothers and sisters. My wife's got 5 brothers and sisters, so we've both got big families. And I converted into the faith back in the year 2000. And all of my family, I was a bit of a jack the lad. I come from the other side of the world. I was in the world, brought up in the world. And I've now converted. My life's completely changed. And both of our family thought I'd gone completely berserk on this Bible bashing weirdo all of a sudden. And they just couldn't get their heads around it. But I didn't realise then that God was moving me away from our families because of the influence it was having on me, my wife, and the children. And so God said to me, you need to move. And so I prayed about it, I thought, God wants me to move. I don't know why, He just wants me to move. And so He took me to Carlisle. And I spent a year there, working with the church there. And the family would just come and visit me now and again. And it was hard, it was tough. I lived in a caravan for a year. And it was tough going. But then the family came to live with me when we moved down to Dalton, and then they changed my status to a licensed minister, became a pastor, and then they gave me 2 churches. And so now we lived in Dalton in Furness on the coast by Barrow. But then the family were with me. And I knew God was moving us away from our families. He was detaching us because of the influence that they were having on my wife and children, and even myself. Because once the devil, when he's got hold of you, he don't let go of you. And when you find the Lord, when the Lord gets hold of you and you give your life to Him, the devil ain't going to let go easy. He's not going to let go easy. And I knew He was pulling my wife and the children especially back into the world. And it was such a bit of a tug of war. And I knew that God was moving us for a reason. And as I read this story, I can see that God was doing the same with Abraham. The negative influences that the family were having on him. And God saying, Abraham, you need to move. I've got to move you. So I'm going to bless the world through you. But the Bible doesn't say that he complained. Lord, where are you taking me? What are you doing to me? I'm happy where I am. It's nice and comfy here. Got a good job. We've got nice cars. We've got nice televisions, nice settees, nice kitchens, and nice homes. We've got a lovely church. What are you moving me for? He doesn't complain. He's a man of obedience. The Bible doesn't say that he complained. In verse 4 it says, so Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him. And Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. So he obediently packs his bags and he moves. You see, our obedience to God today determines what we will be for God tomorrow. But in those few verses that we read earlier on, there was a command, there was a promise, and there was a blessing. When God commands us to do something, He's going to promise us something, and then He's going to bless us. That's the beauty and the mercy and the love of God. He told me to get out of this country, He's going to make you a great nation, and I'm going to bless you. So when God detaches us from something that we like, He's going to replace it with something better. I know what it says in Patriarchs Prophets, page 126. She says, many are still tested, as was Abraham. I'm okay to read Ellen White, by the way. Is it okay for me to read from Ellen White writings?
Oh, yeah.
We live in the last days, folks, and in some places she's not so popular. Amen?
Amen.
Many are still tested, as was Abraham. They do not hear the voice of God speaking directly from the heavens. But He calls them by the teachings of His word and the events of His providence. They may be required to abandon a career that promises wealth and honour, to leave congenial or suitable and profitable associations and separate from kindred, to enter upon what appears to be only a path of self-denial, of hardship and sacrifice. God has a work for them to do, but a life of ease and the influence of friends and kindred would hinder the development of the very trait essential for its accomplishments. He calls them away from human influences and aid, and leads them to feel the need of His help and to depend upon His alone, that He may reveal Himself to them. Who is ready at the call of providence to renounce cherished plans and familiar associations? There may be somebody here today that God is calling to do something for him. Maybe God's asking you to detach yourself from something in particular, but you've grown comfortable in that position, or you've grown comfortable with that particular thing, and you don't let go of it. God is saying, let go of it, let go, let go. It's tough, isn't it? But when we're obedient to God, God replaces it with something better. After the famine and the episode in Egypt, we know that there was a famine, they went down to Egypt, they come out of Egypt, and now there's this problem that the lands can't hold both Abraham and Lot's herdsmen. And so in verse 10 and 11, Abraham says to Lot, you choose where you want to live. I want to give you the choice. If you live on the left, it's the right. If you want to choose the right, I'll go to the left. So Abraham says to Lot, you choose where you want to live. Verse 12 is Lot's first big mistake. He chooses to live down in that Jordan Valley there. He looks across and he sees that's a beautiful part of the country. Wow, that looks nice down there. It's luscious, it's green, it's got water. That's a beautiful place to go and live. The problem is, it's right by Sodom. But sin is Jordan. Sin is Jordan. And so he's looking around, and he's thinking, wow, that looks really nice down there. Unbeknown to him that Satan is drawing him in. He's drawing him in. In verse 12, he chooses to live near Sodom. Sodom, as we know, was a city known for its depravity. In chapter 13 and verse 13, it says, but the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. You see, Sodom was like our equivalent to Las Vegas. Anybody into Las Vegas? I don't know what's going on. It's not a nice place to go to. I haven't been either, but I've heard all about it. And it's sort of Las Vegas. All terrible, wicked things happen there. Just in my club, many, many years ago, it was sort of a little piece of Sodom. And Lot is looking across the land, and he sees this beautiful part of the land. And he doesn't realise that sin is drawing him in. And he's getting closer and closer to Sodom. And that's what sin does. That's the influence of sin. In 1982, ABC Evening News reported on an unusual work of modern art. And it was a chair affixed to a shotgun. And it was to be viewed by sitting in the chair and looking directly into the gun barrel. The gun was loaded and set on a timer to fire at an undetermined time, moments within the next 100 years. So you sat in the chair, the gun barrel's facing you, you sit in the chair for a minute, knowing that that gun could go off at any time. The amazing thing was that people waited in lines to sit and stare into the shell's path. They all knew the gun could go off at point blank range at any moment, but they were gambling that the fatal blast wouldn't happen in their lifetime or in their minute of time. Does that seem too harsh? Is that ridiculous that people would sit in a chair and face a gun knowing it could go off? Well, that's what we do with sin. We gamble with sin. They sat in the chair for a minute hoping it wouldn't go off. Gambling with sin. We gamble with sin, hoping it's not going to affect us. But does sin affect us? Look around us, folks. Look at the sin around us. It touches every one of us. It affects every one of us. And sin, like Lot's, will draw us in to its clutches. And when it does, it captivates our life. And then it's so difficult to get out of. I lived a life of sin. I still struggle with sin now. Anybody else struggle with sin? It's hard, it's tough. It wants to devour you. It wants to devour me. It wants to control our lives. And it will control our lives if we allow it to. In chapter 18, Abraham entertained Jesus and two angels. And after a while, the two angels head towards Sodom. They go to destroy the city. And Abraham pleads with Jesus and intercedes on behalf of any righteous person that's in Sodom. Lord, if there's 50 righteous people there, please don't destroy it. It's okay, there's 50 righteous people, I won't destroy it. But Lord, if there's 45, please, 45, I won't destroy it. If there's 40, Lord, please, he said, I won't. If there's 30, 20, 10, Lord, if there's righteous people, please don't, he said, I won't destroy it if I can find these righteous people. In chapter 19 and verse 12, I need to move on. And then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here, son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord. And the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And so Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters, and said, Get up out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be joking. So that was one big joke. On my travels, and since I've become a Christian, I tried to share my faith. And to most people, it's just one big, nobody takes it serious. When you tell them the truth, we were talking in Sabbath school about, how to share your faith. Have you ever spoke to people and they just don't take it seriously? And in your heart you're just crying out for that person, for that loved one, for that work colleague, for your neighbour, and they just ain't taking it serious, are they? And you tell them about the mark of the beast and all these things, and that God's going to send his judgments on planet, and the wrath of God will come down, the 7 plagues, if they don't convert and give their lives to Jesus. It's like, they just think you're from another planet. They just don't take it serious, do they? I poured my heart over many people over the years. When I first became a Christian, I remember getting baptised in water. And Pastor Lou Edwards, remember Lou Edwards, the VUC, Ministerial Secretary, just retired now. He came to me after the service and he says, Ian, because all my family were there, all my wife's family were there, some of the friends had come. And I thought, wow, I'm going to get all these converted. He says, Ian, you're in for a tough ride. You're in for a... I said, what do you mean? What do you mean? He says, these are some of the hardest people you're going to reach, your family. Because they know you, they know your history, they know what you were like before. And they're not going to listen to you. Most of them probably won't listen to you. And nearly 20 years on, he was right. I've tried with my family and the wife's family over the years, witnessing and telling them all sorts of, and done Bible studies, some of them. And even to this day, not one of them, not one, is converted to the truth, coming to the faith, not one. They all just think it's... When we have these economic crashes and bad things happen around the world, and I say, look, the world's getting worse, Jesus is soon to return, this is going to get worse and worse. Yeah, we've always had these problems, but it always seems to right itself. We've always had economic crashes around the world, but we always get out, we always have a job, we always have income, we've always got to have, yeah, sometimes there's not much, there's less food in the supermarkets, but yeah, we still get fed. Nobody seems to be urgent. I just think it's one big joke. Just like Lot's family. Are we taking our salvation seriously? Are you and I taking our salvation seriously? Do we see the urgency of the times that we're living in? Many of us have here, you've been an Adventist for 40, 50, 60 years and you're hearing the same message over and over again, and sometimes we can become desensitized to the urgency of the times that we're living in. Verse 15 says, and when the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside of the city. He lingered. Remember that word, he lingered. Verse 17 says, and so it came to pass when they had brought them outside that he said, escape for your life and do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. And so he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. Everything was destroyed. Everything. And then verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Here's the true sadness in the story. His wife looked back. By the way, the title was Don't Look Back. His wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 161, says, if Lot himself had manifested no hesitancy to obey the angel's warning, but had earnestly fled towards the mountains without one word of pleading or remonstrance, his wife also would have made her escape. The influence of his example would have saved her from the sin that sealed her doom. If he hadn't lingered, he hadn't hithered and dithered, she watched him hither and dithering, and that influenced her to be lost. But his hesitancy and delay caused her to lightly regard the divine warning. While her body was upon the plain, her heart clung to Sodom, and she perished with it. She rebelled against God because his judgments involved her possessions and her children in the ruin. She saw her husband lingering, didn't know what to do. He didn't make a decision. He wasn't completely obedient to God. And he hithered and dithered. But God was merciful to him, the Bible says. He grabbed his hand and pulled him out of the city to safety. But she watched his hesitancy. And the word says that her body was upon the plain, but her heart clung to Sodom. Her possessions were still there. She looked back. She's running from the city. And she was told, don't look back. We're in a sinful condition. And a home's still there, the car's still there. The beautiful settee's still there. The beautiful home is still there. Her children are still there. And she remembers all these things. And the devil said to her, look back, look back, look back. Your family, your possessions. And she looks back. Whoosh! She becomes a pillar of salt. She couldn't let go of her earthly belongings. And as a parent, you can I read this story over and over again. And you think, well, your children are there. Surely you're going to look back and think, Lord, please, please. And God said to her, don't look back. Don't look back. When I came out of the world, God said to me, Ian, don't look back. There was many times when I struggled with my conversion at times, because God was that Satan was pulling me back into the world. God was pulling me out of the world. But the devil wants me to look back. And when you start to look back, you start to go back, because your heart's still there. Maybe some of us here today, our hearts are still in Sodom. We sit in church today and we sing the songs, we listen to the messages, we take part in Sabbath school, we praise the Lord. But maybe our hearts are still in Sodom. And we haven't yet come out of Sodom. Where's your heart now? Where's my heart now? Where are our hearts? Are we still clinging on to some things from Sodom? Are we still clinging on to something? When Jesus comes back, he's coming back to destroy sin. And if we're still clinging on to sin, unfortunately we're going to be destroyed with it. God doesn't want to destroy us. He's a God of love. But if we're clinging on to sin, we'll get destroyed with it. Our scripture reading was from the book of Luke, chapter 17. The last couple of verses, chapter 17, 32 and 33. Jesus says, remember Lot's wife? She looked back. She couldn't let go. Jesus says, whoever seeks to save his life will lose it. And whoever loses his life will preserve it. Folks, Jesus is about to come. Do you know that? Believe it with all your heart that Jesus is soon to return. He really is beyond him. Imminent. Maybe some of us are still clinging on to certain things that we know we shouldn't be clinging on to. If Jesus was to appear now, would you be ready to meet him? Hands up. Would you be ready to meet Jesus if he returned now? You have that assurance? Sister White says that if we cherish one cherished sin, will keep us out of the kingdom. I believe every one of us in this room is preparing for the kingdom. In your own way, you're preparing for the kingdom through your prayer life, through the study of the word, through your witnessing. You need all three, don't you? You can't just pray and read the word, you need to share with the light of the world. The sanctuary message that we spoke about in Sabbath school this morning. That's what's unique to the 7-day events, it's the sanctuary message. One cherished sin can keep us out of the kingdom. I told at the beginning I was a martial arts instructor. I used to teach karate. And I was the chief instructor of the club. And we had different teams. We had the kiddies teams, intermediate teams, youth teams, adult teams. And we would travel around England competing in karate competitions. And we would spend weeks and months preparing for these competitions. And some of them were big competitions. And I would be the chief instructor and the coach. And one particular competition was down at the Crystal Palace in London, the National Sports Stadium there. And it was a big competition from all around Europe. Some of Europe's top fighters were there. And I was a black belt fighting in the heavyweight division. And typically the black belts would fight last. So I would coach all the youngsters and the intermediates through the day, and then the black belts would fight last. And so we got down to London, but we spent about 3 months preparing for this competition. It was a big competition, and I wanted to do well. And we spent about 3 months preparing for this competition. And I mean really preparing. Anybody ever do martial arts? 3 months hard preparation. Press-ups, sit-ups, bag work, speed bags, speed balls, sprinting, jogging, the lot, everything. Hard work for 3 months. And I was a hard taskmaster, trust me, I was dedicated. And we spent 3 months preparing this competition. 3 months. Then we get to this sports stadium in London. I looked at the board and the black belts were on first. So my particular category, we were fighting first. And I was the first fight on. The first fight of the day. And so I quickly get changed, I get warmed up. I get myself stretched, I get myself really, really warm, and I'm doing all, and practicing with somebody and loosening up and getting the mind prepared for this first fight. And all the club were there, some family, friends, all my club members, all the students, all up in this side, they're all cheering me and clapping me. And I'm feeling good, and I'm feeling fit, and I'm feeling strong and fast and energetic. And I feel ready for this competition. And so I walk onto the mat. And I look at my opponent and he's about 10'10". He was gigantic. He was massive. He really was huge. He was big. Ginormous. I looked at him and thought, oh, wow. So in my mind I'm thinking, what do I do? He's looking at me, like with these mean eyes, like, you're going to lose. And so I thought, I know what I'm going to do. As soon as the referee says begin, I'm just going to go whoosh. I'm going to kick him with a mawashigeri, which is a roundhouse kick. I'm going to show him who's boss. I'm just going to kick him and stun him, so he knows who's boss. And so we stand there. The referee says, "Bear, we get ready." The referee says, "Hey, mate, begin." Now, in that particular style of karate competition I did, you had to hit the opponent with a punch or a kick to his face or body, and if it was a particular punch or kick that would knock him down, or they didn't knock him down, they would stop the fight and award you a point. It was based on points, and you accumulated points through the time. At the end of the fight, the one who had the most points would win, and you go through to the next round. So it was point scoring. And so I knew that if I kicked him around the head, I'd get a 4 points, and he would know he was boss. And so the referee says, "Hey man," whoosh. So I stepped forward and whoosh, and I kicked him with this roundhouse kick, just like I planned in my mind. And I hit him smash around the face. And he went, whoa, and he grabbed his face, and of course everybody go, whoa, everybody jumped up out the seats, and this big applause and noise from the crowd. I thought, whoa, yes, I'm really up for it now. The adrenaline's pumping, and I've gone back to my marker there. So you have to go back to your marker. And as I looked at him, he's holding his head, and he moved his hand, and I'd split his head from there to there. And the skin is just hanging down from his eye. And the first aid went on, and they pushed his skin back up, and there's blood everywhere, and the medic came on. But if you hit somebody, it's excessive contact, you get disqualified. So I stood by the line, the referee's gone, disqualified. I was like, disqualified, excessive contact. And they take him off and do what they did with him. I was absolutely gutted. I was gutted. 3 months of preparation. 3 months of hard preparation. Travelling down to London in front of all the club members, family, friends, for 2 seconds of glory. 2 seconds of glory. I stood there with my head in shame, thinking, oh no, what's happening? And as I looked down at my feet, I realised I hadn't cut my big toenail. And there's blood on my foot. My toenail had slashed his head like a razor blade. All that preparation, all that effort, all that blood and sweat, but I forgot to cut my toenail. We're preparing for heaven, aren't we, folks? Have you cut your toenail? One cherished sin. Sister White says for people sent to heaven. So praise the Lord for those people who put their hand up and says, yes, I'll be ready to meet the Lord. But make sure you've cut your toenail. Maybe there's something in your life you know is not quite right. And you still haven't got the victory over sin. Do you believe, church, that you can have the victory over sin?
Oh, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you truly believe you can have victory over sin in this life?
Yes.
The devil will tell you that you can't. The devil is telling many of our members that you can't overcome sin. That there are some sins that God doesn't have the power to give you to overcome. Is that the truth? I gave up smoking, drink, drugs, the lot. That wasn't me, that was God.
Amen.
There's nothing too hard for God.
Amen.
Maybe you have a particular sin in your life that you're struggling with right now. You know what it is, and the Lord knows what it is. And yet you still haven't got the victory. You need the victory. You need that victory. Otherwise you ain't going to heaven. Simple as. You can have the victory through the power of the Holy Spirit. You can have victory over sin. You can have victory over sin. I said this in one big church in our conference a couple of years ago. I said, who believes we can have victory over sin? And only 2 hands went up. I said about 200 people. The rest were saying, no. So sad. That is the power of the gospel. The power of the gospel is that you can overcome sin. Amen. You are a sinner. You do commit sin. But you can have the power to overcome sin and stop sinning. Jesus said to the woman caught in adultery, go and sin. Sometimes.
No more.
He said, go and sin no more. I heard one theologian recently, it's a big event. One of our top theologians say, Jesus didn't mean that. He meant you should go in peace, but you're still going to sin. Now Jesus said, go and sin no more. And I'm going to give you the power over sin. That is the power of the gospel. This is what I share with people. When I meet people, I love to study with the wino. You know what winos are? Those people that sit on the benches in the parks drinking wine, and bottles of beer and cider, and smoking, and their lives are just treacherous. I love those people. So I used to be like them. I love those people. And I say to them, you can stop all this. Your life can change when you accept Jesus Christ. And I tell them about the gospel, I tell them what Jesus has done for me. That you don't have to drink, you don't have to smoke, you don't have to cuss and swear, you can have a better life. This is the power of the gospel, folks. That your life can change, that you can overcome sin. And this is what we need to be teaching to people. Our work colleagues, our families, our friends, whoever. Your life can change through the power of the Holy Spirit, and you can overcome sin. And you can have a better life. And say goodbye to sin. You can. That's not saying you may not commit a sin again. You may. But if we confess our sins, He's faithful and just. This is the power of the gospel. You can overcome sin. This is the message. This is the heart of the message, folks, today. Some of us may still be in Sodom. We sat here well dressed, smiling, agreeing, but we still may be in Sodom. That one sin is keeping you in Sodom. Cut your toenails, folks. Prepare for the second coming of Jesus.
Amen.
If you have a particular issue in your life, you today and say, Lord, please give me the victory. You can give it over to Jesus right now. If there's anybody in the room today that wants to say, Lord, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I really am struggling. And I'm struggling. I know some of you are struggling. Because we're human. I invite you today to stand and say, Lord, I have an issue. But I want victory over this issue. Because I want to get to heaven. If that one person is here, I invite you to stand. If that one person is here today who's struggling with the sin, I invite you to stand and say, Lord, please give me the victory over sin. And let's have a prayer together. If you're struggling with sin, if you're struggling with an issue in your life and you know it's going to keep you from the kingdom, stand today and say, Lord, please give me that victory over sin.